All right. Good morning, Tarkov. How we all doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. All the, Tim the Tap Man people. There's no correlation there. It's just that's what he always says for his intros. All right. Chat's working. Music shouldn't be too loud. All right, we'll keep that going in the background. Morning. For people in the VOD, this is Good Morning Tarkov. It's the show that I've been putting on for the last couple days now, and it's just much easier for me to interact with you guys when I do this live instead of like jumping into the comments, because I try to jump into the comments as much as I can, obviously, but it's the same questions over and over again, and then it's the same questions and it's the same comments and these VODs even, but at least I can actually, if you guys that are leaving these same comments over and over again, at least hopefully if you came in here and spoke to me and I'd be able to talk to you specifically one-on-one, well, not exactly one-on-one, but I would answer your specific question verbally, maybe it'll help you out a bit more than just reading my text and stuff like that. So we pick a topic and then we go from there. Whether you are watching the VOD or not, check out if you can rewind. If you're watching this live, you should have a live button, anything like that. So if you think you missed anything, you can rewind, and of course if you're watching the VOD, then you obviously can rewind. You can do whatever you want. Also with the VOD, if you check the description and you check the top comments, I'll put little timestamps so that you can see exactly when we talk about what we talk about for the day. So as usual, I kind of pick a topic that I kind of talk about for a little bit as people are rolling in the door, and then we go from there. We see what people are doing, but see if we give this another couple minutes for people to show up, and we'll hang out for a little bit, and then we'll get to today's topic, which is going to be the phrase "as realistic as playable" and what that entails in Escape from Tarkov, and then we'll discuss from there. So how's everyone doing? Morning builds, morning obsessed. What are we letting go? I'm not sure what you mean with that. Get some chalky milk. Okay. Greetings from Germany. Greetings from the United States. Gotta ask the daily question. Oh, right. When's wipe? Today's video, actually, which isn't going to be live right after this goes live, because I realized that the VODs don't go live immediately after I stop the stream. So once the VOD for this is up, I'm going to have a video go live after that, which is everything you need to know about everything you need to know about patch 12.11 as it currently stands. And the reason why we're going to be talking about patch 12.11 is because I believe it is going to be a wipe. If that doesn't end up happening, do not yell at Nikita, do not yell at BSG. This is literally just from what I've gathered following the game as closely as I have over the years, and in this case, more specifically, the last few months. The timing's right, the content for the patch is right. I think it's going to be a wipe, and I know I'm not alone with that. This isn't me like trying to say that I'm going to tell the future or whatever. It just makes sense. So there's lots of other creators, I'm sure, that would agree with me on that. And in terms of timing, it should be in about a month. It could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more. But in terms of timing, anything around 12.11, it should be around a month from now. And I do believe it's going to be a wipe, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. There's our daily wipe question. I'm sure we're going to get plenty more later. I hope Tarkov have notes like Rust. Nah, it's really, they really don't do stuff like that. It's on us. It's on the creators to kind of like give you guys the updates and stuff like that. Gib wipe, yeah, tell me about it. I'm right there with you guys. Yeah, they did nerf Bitcoins. They did nerf Bitcoins, but the economy could have used it. The Bitcoins went a little bit nuts. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too late. The economy's already nuts, but with the next wipe, we'll be able to fix that. BSG dropped Streets without a wipe, there's no way they're going to drop Streets. There's no way they're going to drop Streets. Streets is a few months away. I stopped playing because of how broken the economy is. Yeah, and that's a great point too, which we'll mention here. If you guys are genuinely like frustrated and you're not enjoying yourselves with Escape from Tarkov, take a break. Just take a break. It wipes every few months. In our cases, more recently, over the last year or so, it's more like several months, unfortunately. Hopefully, they'll pick up the pace a little bit, and hopefully that wipe will be coming up pretty soon. But if you are genuinely frustrated with this current state of Escape from Tarkov, take a break. Just stop. Just stop playing. Just take a break. It'll still be here in a couple months. Hell, I think I've even taken, full months or full even patch breaks before. In like the 2018 kind of year-ish, 2018, 2019, I think I've taken whole patch breaks before, just because not a whole lot was going on during that time. It completely makes sense. I've had friends that have taken years off and then they come back and they're pleasantly surprised because there's actually progress. There's a lot of good stuff happening. So, all right, that should be enough time here. Let's get on to today's topic. Today we are talking about, let's turn down the music just a little bit. I don't know actually why it's not that loud for you guys. I know there's probably some kind of mixer setting somewhere that I'm fucking with, but we'll turn it down a little bit because for me it's a little distracting. So today's topic is as realistic as playable. I'm going to go over some of my thoughts here. I'm not going to be interacting with the chat for the next, 5 minutes here while I just go over my thoughts on the subject, and then we'll discuss it together afterwards. So, as realistic as playable. In the past, for Escape from Tarkov, they wanted to create a much more realistic survival looter-shooter experience. And whether it be like, a translation errors or whatnot, everyone decided to emphasize the realistic when that wasn't actually necessarily the case. Apparently, the entire time, they really did have something like as realistic as playable in mind, but it wasn't necessarily like at the beginning of all their videos, and it wasn't that clear. But now we have that very clear from Nikita, from everyone at BSG, as of the last 8 months, 10 months or so. As realistic as playable is the current motto for Escape from Tarkov. So what does that mean? It means that it shouldn't be too realistic, but they would like to emphasize the realism. So let's take a look at this. Death. You don't actually die in Escape from Tarkov. You come back. Is that realistic? No, but it allows you to keep playing the game. Imagine if we had to rebuy the game, or if you lost all your stats, or you lost all your gear every time you died. That would be a really interesting game. Like, that would be an Iron Man mode or whatever. Like, that would be cool, but it's not the current game. It's not Escape from Tarkov right now. Obviously, that's not realistic, but it allows you to play the game as realistic as playable. Scav runs. Every 15 minutes or so, you possess the soul of an unbathed homeless Russian man. That's not realistic at all. That's just as realistic as playable. It allows you to have free gear, and you go and you get to loot whatever map you decide to go on or whatever, and then eventually once we get Scav Karma, we'll see some more features with that, but that's not realistic, but allows you to play the game. The economy is next. So you get instant money and gear transactions. That is absolutely not realistic whatsoever. Instantaneously, with the click of a button, you magically have more money because you sold something, or you have some new gear because you bought something. That just allows you to play the game a bit easier. So there's the no risk player-to-player transactions with that as well, which you don't have to worry about dying or whatever when you go get your ammo, or you don't have to worry about dying when you go get your cases, because you just get them from tasks, or you get them from the flea market or whatever. Not realistic at all, but allows you to play the game better. Instant access to end game gear, and instant quote unquote there, because at level 10 you get the flea market, which this can go a whole other rabbit hole here, whether the flea market is actually good for the game and stuff like that. I've made a couple videos about that myself, but instant access to whatever the hell you want as long as you have the money for it at level 10. So for all intents and purposes, the game is kind of technically over once you hit level 10, because you can just buy whatever the hell you want, especially now at this point of a wipe, because you can just, everyone's got endgame gear, everyone's selling endgame gear. As long as you hit level 10 and you've got the cash, you have access to endgame gear. So this will change in the future too, with the integration of in-raid traders. I'm not saying that all the traders will be in-raid, although that very well could be a thing. We haven't heard recently about that. However, I assume there will always be something that you can get instantly, and regardless, that's obviously not realistic. You just don't have instant access to stuff. There at least has to be like a delivery time for some of these things. So that allows you to play the game easier. But moving on from there, that was some more obvious stuff, and it's also stuff that was also like super helpful and easy to understand and stuff. But now let's do something that doesn't really make too much sense. Leg meta. Obviously, you do not die that quickly from only leg damage in real life. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's like shock and you will bleed out and stuff like that, but it's like in 6 or 7 bullets, some of these hollow point bullets, and you're gone. That is definitely something that can be iterated on, and that's the kind of thing that we need to pay attention to as the real like topic of feedback for Escape from Tarkov and topic of feedback for Battlestate games, because that, like, does it really need to happen that way? Is it really actually that useful? Like, that is a genuinely very useful conversation to have in a game like this, because it just doesn't really make sense for you to die that quickly. But at the same time, it gives the little guy, it gives you guys that are just starting off with just the shotguns and stuff, it gives you a chance to go at the Chads. And once the day of the armor hitboxes come in, is that actually needed anymore? So that's the kind of thing that we actually need to talk about. None of this like this ammo sucks, this doesn't make any sense. This gun sucks, this doesn't make any sense. This specific feature over here, well, depending on the feature, actually, I can't say that. You got to try and think a little bit more about what your feedback is and where we're directing our frustration, because in the future where we have these realistic hitboxes, leg meta kind of doesn't make much sense anymore, because we just have to shoot for those specific those key points where the armor isn't really. And I think that's what the placeholder. I think that's what leg meta is. I think it's placeholder, so that it's giving the little guy a chance. It's giving anybody a chance to get somebody with significantly better gear, because the legs are just completely unprotected. Helmets. Helmets are much, much worse in real life, excluding something like an Alton or something like that, because those are just like super heavy metals and stuff. But the significant majority of helmets that we have in game don't act anywhere near how they act in game in real life. They're just not that useful. It's mostly for when you bump your head, and then if you get some ricochets or whatever. And of course, helmet to helmet, they're going to differ. There's literally riot helmets in game that if you get super lucky, you're going to ricochet around, and that doesn't really seem possible. You'll at least get your bell rung and stuff like that. So that's obviously not realistic, but it's allowing you to use the helmets, and it makes sense to have some kind of protection there for the sake of the game. So that's why, I mean, that's the reasoning that BSG is using. So some people might feel differently about that, but at least it makes all helmets, at least at some point, somewhat useful throughout the lifespan of the wipe, really. Meds, concussion effects. I've had several concussions in my life, and I can take it from me, guys. They're a bitch. They really do get you down, and they can obviously knock you out. And you lose consciousness, and that doesn't actually happen in game. I know that in the future we're going to have such effects like that where you can lose consciousness, and possibly if you have a buddy with you, they're able to revive you and stuff like that. And that would be the case of revival. If you were actually dead for several minutes, I think they're going to do something with the defibrillator and stuff like that. But I have a couple videos in the future of meds and Escape from Tarkov somewhere on the channel. But in terms of like bleeding out, in terms of passing out, there's certain things that a buddy should be able to do for you in the future. But it doesn't take place now. And how realistically that affects a player in the future is going to be based off of as realistic as playable. Theoretically, if you get shot in the head, hell, if you get shot in the chest, you should get the wind knocked out of you at the very least and get knocked down. But that doesn't happen because that wouldn't make much sense, and it would be way too overpowered in a game point of view. So we were talking about slugs yesterday. If you have a heavy slug and you shoot someone in the chest that has armor on, I mean, even if they don't have armor on, I mean, you're going to die anyway, so that's not really the point either. But, like, if you have armor on and you get hit in the chest with a slug, that's probably going to knock you on your ass, and at the very least it's going to knock the wind out of you. Hell, if you get hit with a round that wouldn't necessarily penetrate, any size of round that wouldn't necessarily penetrate that body armor, you're going to probably get the wind knocked out of you, and it's going to stagger you a bit. And nothing like that really happens other than your stamina going down in game, which I'm sure is placeholder right now, but it's still, that kind of a feature is still as realistic as playable. It it doesn't completely put you out of the fight. Same thing with meds here. Like when you break a bone, you sure as hell aren't running around on a broken foot. And I mean, if you really stack up the medication and if you really stack up the morphine and stuff like that, you get a good splint on there. Depending on the type of break, maybe, but we're not running around with crutches on. We're still actually putting the full weight on that leg, or hell, on that arm. If you break both your arms, if you lose both your arms, you're not fighting. You're not in the fight anymore. And then we go to getting shot in general. The gunshots don't go away. That's as realistic as they just don't go away that easily, and that is an as realistic playable as realistic as playable kind of setup. And last but not least, with the meds, you sure as hell are not doing open surgery on yourself. I know it's not for the torso, and I know it's not for the head, but you're not stapling your guts in on a regular basis just as Joe Schmo PMC. You're not stapling your guts together in game. That is as realistic as playable. It's allowing us to continue to play the game. Last couple things here is extractions. You just straight up disappear. I'm sure that's placeholder for some other things. Supposed to be got open world coming. But imagine an extraction where you actually had to walk a ton, like a massive distance to actually get out of a raid and survive with that stuff. As realistic as playable. Animations, we got bullet by bullet mag load coming, which has it has some more features that are going to go into that. It's mainly because it just makes sense as like kind of like a it's like a diversionary kind of thing. Anthony P, thanks for the 5. Once we get that, I'll take a break here in a sec. If you guys are going to do super chats or anything like that, try and hold it until after I'm doing my my morning intro thing here, and then we can get into to hanging out. Hopefully that alert pops up. I'll get to it in a second if the alert doesn't pop up, but it really should pop up. So the animations for the bullet by bullet mag load, it's really kind of like a diversionary thing. Also, it just doesn't make sense for you not to see the mag loading. Like you should have to put your weapon down and stuff like that. That's an as realistic, more emphasis on realistic for that one, obviously.
USEC microwave.
As playable.
For Karma, would you like a system where you receive reduced or no XP for a raid where you kill a faction mate? 3. This is off topic.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. Anthony P, thank you very much for the 5. And since it is off topic, we'll get to it a little bit later. If you end up missing my response to that, come check the VOD out later. The VOD's going to go live on the channel. Anyway, so bullet by bullet mag loading, that is more emphasis on the realistic thing, and it is going to allow us to continue playing the game. And we'll see how weight of the extra ammunition that you bring with you is going to affect you throughout the game. I know weight's a big topic there too, but you know, as of right now, you don't actually see the bullet loading. And then also a big thing that comes with that is if anyone sees you, I'm sure they're going to shoot on sight anyway, but they see that you are reloading the mags, and then they can treat you differently based on that. So maybe if they are a possible, like if the karma system, or when the karma system is in, if they're a possible friendly, maybe they realize first that, oh, he's packing his mags, and then it gives them a second to realize, oh, he's a USEC, let's team up. I don't have to shoot this guy. That kind of a thing. And then last but not least here, when it comes to as realistic as playable, because everyone lost their minds whenever I talk about this, because they are going to be coming to the game. Mines and explosives. This isn't Call of Duty. This isn't any other game where when you have a claymore, because claymores are coming, when you have a bouncing Betty, because bouncing Betties are coming, or when you have a tripwire buoy trap or anything like that, because tripwire buoy traps are coming, it's not going to be you run up to a doorway and then you click B and then you just put the claymore down, you put the tripwire down, it does it automatically for you. Hell, it's not even going to be like Rainbow Six Siege where you have it has like the progress bar or whatever. I'm sure you're gonna have to decide where that. It's Escape from Tarkov. Remember here, guys. You're gonna have to decide where that tripwire specifically goes, where you want to put that so that it makes sense for there to be a mine there. And once everyone actually realizes that explosives and mines and tripwires are a thing, they're gonna be looking for them. And then on top of that, it's not over. It's not. And if we're gonna use, if we keep using Rainbow Six Siege as an example, there you get the kill, and then that's the end of the engagement because you get your points in there, or you don't have to deal with that enemy anymore. But in Escape from Tarkov, what's the point of the mine if you're not going to go loot the guy? The mine is really, really loud. You have to go loot that guy after literally that body is going to be on that explosion. So how do we treat whenever we hear the mines on shoreline? How do we treat whenever we hear the mines on woods nowadays? Near the USEC camp on the New Woods expansion there. If you're close by there, you obviously know someone's over there, so let's investigate a little bit, and that might get you killed. So that's kind of the stuff that you have to think about, and that's an as realistic playable situation. The mines and the explosives are going to take time to set. They're going to have the little lasers sticking out. They're going to either have a tripwire or a physical clacker, which again goes to, if you're going to use the clacker, that means it's the device that, like, and you guys that have played, have used C4 in Call of Duty, it's the thing that comes out when you actually set the C4 off. It's the thing that pops up in your hand. It's like a little remote control thing. You call it a clacker. You're going to have eyes on the target anyway. So why wouldn't you just shoot them? So I think there's going to be like an ease of use situation there when it comes to mines and explosives in general and stuff like that. So that's just everything that I wanted to go with through today in terms of as realistic as playable. It's on both sides of the coin. It really, the phrase itself should make sense, and it's not trying to emphasize too much one way or the other. It is purely just as realistic as playable. We want the game to be fun, or PSG wants the game to be fun, Nikita wants the game to be fun, but it needs to be different. So there is going to be a level of realism that they're shooting for that is more significant than, you know, most games out there, and that's what we're here to do. That's why we like Escape from Tarkov. At least that's why I like Escape from Tarkov, and I'm sure I'm not alone with that. All right, so that's my topic for today. Again, thanks for the super chat, whoever that was. Who we got? Anthony P. And like I said, it was Karma. I just put up a Karma video yesterday, and we talked about Karma a lot. I actually had a little puppet show yesterday with Photoshop for Karma. So if you have a specific Karma question, you can come back, and I'll answer that later today, or you can go check out yesterday. I'm sure I probably did something similar, or talked about something similar for you yesterday. So appreciate the $5. Thank you very much, man. All right, guys. So that was the topic for today. Now we can get into it. If you have a question for me specifically, you can see, like, Kevin Stewart has done this a couple times already. It's at niceguy_Tarkov. That pops up much differently for me in chat, so it's going to stick out much differently. Please don't spam. But it makes it much, much easier for me to see your specific questions through everyone that are, like, just chatting and talking to each other and stuff like that, or just hanging out and saying stuff in the chat. So since this is the first one, yeah, please don't spam. Thanks, Jack. Yeah, medicine for the pain is a bit too much there. Just don't spam. I'll see it eventually. Make sure you guys are using the at niceguy_Tarkov. You'll see Kevin Stewart there. Actually, you know what? I'll put it in chat myself here. You should be able to see this. It's that right there. I just put it in chat myself. So it pops up much differently for me. Make sure you spell it right too there. Kestrez, you missed the O there on that one. Anyway, all right, trip flares for the win. That would be really cool. So that's a really interesting one because it's not necessarily loud and it's not necessarily pinpoint. Like, it's in the air, so people are going to have to go search underneath generally where that flare is to see exactly where it went off or where they might be. And it is definitely going to alert you that, okay, someone's behind me, or someone went to resort, or someone went over to the mark circle, or one of the mark circles on woods, stuff like that. So that would be really cool. Flares in general are something that I'm waiting for, specifically because, speaking of as realistic as playable, that's going to knock night vision out. There's not, other than flashlights, like flashlights are getting pretty good at knocking or annoying people with NVGs and thermals and whatnot. But flares specifically, especially with thermals too, I mean, it would be for both because of the heat that they give off and the bright light. Flares are going to be really, on the fence here with how I want to phrase this, but I think they're going to be a pretty good game changer when it comes to night raids if you have flares, because they should be cheap. They're bright as hell. You're going to be able to see really well, and it's going to knock out the chads or whatever you want to call them that are using NVGs, or just really anyone that are using NVGs. And it kind of evens the playing field a little bit in terms of night raid, and it's going to make it just a lot more feasible to run night raids. Which, by the way, night raids do have better loot. Tier for tier have better loot generally than day raids, so that's why it's more significant. Yeah, flares are going to be cool. Gore and limb dismemberment. I know they had that planned earlier, but there's actually something going on with the polygons and the back end side of that would be it wouldn't really be worth it, basically, because there's a lot of calculations that are going on in terms of the back end for Escape from Tarkov as it is right now. And I think gore and limb dismemberment is on the fence on whether it's going to come into the game anymore or not. But that would be a good question. That's one of those good questions to ask during a Q&A, not the usual, fix your game, fix your servers and stuff like that. Stuff like that is actually good. Personally, I really like the blood trails. I think they're going in the right direction with that. Like, that is really cool that you can follow somebody and you can kind of figure out what happened there with someone with the blood trails. What is something that you would want to get in Tarkov? That's not exactly the topic today, but I've talked about that for a couple times already, so it's the only time I'll answer it today. There's plenty of stuff that I want in Tarkov, but specifically I want to be able to step up onto higher things. There's lots of little ledges and stuff that you have to jump over. I know vaulting is coming, but this wouldn't necessarily be a vault. It's like literally just pick your leg up a little bit more so that you don't have to jump in the entire map here as you jump. Specifically, if there was one thing, I'd want that in Tarkov. What do you think about making the armor in the game much more tanky in general? I feel the armor does not help in game due to all the penalties and how low. I think the armor is about right in game, given as realistic as playable, and that is going to be a very specific question for once the armor hitboxes are in game, because they're going to act much more realistic. So I think that the armor hitboxes, we end up talking about this every one of these streams now. But I think the armor hitboxes are really, really, really going to be a game changer because it is going to affect literally everything. Every decision that you make in Escape from Tarkov is going to be affected by the armor hitboxes because it's going to depend on how much you're going to weigh. What kind of armor specifically are you going to use? What kind of weapon you're going to use, because most people are probably going to be a little bit easier to kill, so maybe you go for the shotgun instead of more often than you usually would. You go for the SMGs a little bit more often. Hell, even pistols are going to be more effective now, because if you just hit them where the armor isn't, forehead, just hit them where the armor isn't, they're going to be more effective, so stuff like that. So it's a good question, but it's better answered when we know what the armor hitbox system and the replaceable armor plates are like in the future. Same question, do you think I'm better than you at Tarkov? Probably. I suck at Tarkov. Don't check the VODs. You're probably good. Don't worry about it. What's your opinion on ladders and more freedom of movement with things like vaulting over things, climbing, and getting over something at a slower speed, but with your gun up to fire? That's all planned, by the way. There is vaulting. There's advanced movement coming. There's actual working ladders coming to the game. And there's also like body dragging and buddy dragging and stuff like that coming. So that's better answered once we actually see that feature. And hopefully knowing that that is planned kind of answers your question there. So we'll see what happens with those. Those are planned. Do you believe vendors are realistic and fun currently? I think they're placeholder, and they're plenty fun as is, of course. But there is going to be some in-raid traders that are planned, so we'll see how that ends up working out. Prapper, for example, has millions of AKs on sale, while lore-wise, he's basically stealing from the army to sell on the side. So there's way more lore. Those are placeholder right now. Way more lore, way more economy changes and stuff like that coming in the future. But in terms of access right now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are testing the game. So if it was super, super difficult to get something in game that we're here to test, we can keep the Mark 18 off of that, and we can keep the grenade launcher off of that because we've tested that stuff enough. We've seen. All right, it's OP. It works in game. We don't. Excuse me if that hit the mic a little bit. It's OP. It's quote unquote OP. It's super effective in game. We don't need everyone to use that anymore. So let's dial it down. That kind of a thing. So we are here to test things, and those AKs and that ammunition you get from Prapper helps us do that. So ease of access is good for that kind of stuff right now where we're testing. What do you think about making the armor in the game much more tanky? Okay, I already answered that one, I think, right? Yeah, I already got that one. So Medicine, you're good there. Do you think revolvers would be viable if they were added? Absolutely, because everything is going to be more viable once the armor hitboxes are in. Even right now, because they're probably going to be hitting much harder with the 357 Magnum and even like the 50 AE or whatever, because the Deagle is coming. So maybe I forget if the Chiappas have. I know the Chiappas have like 357 Magnum. I forget if there's like another bigger round or another similar round that comes with that. But they should hit really hard, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. What do you think? I didn't miss anything, right? Okay. What do you think would cause you to black out? A hit to the head. I know from experience, a good hit to the head will knock you out. Anyone that doesn't know, I played a lot of hockey growing up, and I've gotten several concussions myself. So it's if you a good hit to the head, or boards or whatever you end up hitting your head on is that can knock you out. So Really, it could be a concussion grenade even could knock you out if it's like that loud and that close. But a good hit to the head, you take a slug to the head, you're gonna get knocked out. You take a good round to the head, you're probably gonna get knocked out. So that's in the future. We don't really have so much information other than the fact that that kind of stuff is planned. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Is there going to be a decoy grenade? I know that that's planned. I just don't know when. I don't know why that hasn't been added yet. Personally, I guess flash grenades could be something like that. But they definitely have a lot more stuff planned in that area. Like, go see like the camera ball. I don't know if that's going to be a boss only thing. The camera ball is a thing. Molotovs, CS gas, different stun grenades, stuff like that. That's all planned. It's intended to come to the game. Do you know any estimate when the next patch hits? It's about a month. 12.11, about a month. And that's not from BSG. That's not from Nikita. That's not from anything. That's just from what I gathered. A little bit more or less, we should be a little bit more or less so than a month. We should be seeing 12.11. And personally, I think it's going to be a wipe. So we'll see what happens. How the hell will karma work between PMCs without making those? Okay, Snot Gobbler. It's up to you if you want to listen to the rest of the cast today. But yesterday was all about karma. I made a video specifically about karma too the other day, so you can check that out on that channel. But yesterday, I literally did a puppet show using Photoshop on my my ideas of like what, based off of how closely I've been following the game, how karma is supposed to work in the future. So definitely go check that out because I literally play it out in front of you guys to see how it should work out. Do night raids actually spawn better loot? Yes, they do actually. Nikita has confirmed that multiple times, especially Night Factory. Night Factory is really good. Compared to the Day Factory. Oh shoot, did I miss that? I scrolled down a little bit too much. People are going really... Holy shit, I missed a lot. Oh, wow. Okay, Pat. You guys are going really fast. So I'm only going to be doing this for about an hour. So that means we got... what's that? We got a solid another, half an hour here. But I'll see how many of these I can get. I'm significantly behind. You guys are asking a shit ton of questions. So give me a sec here. Do not snow maps and or weather effects. That's a DLC. Extreme weather, quote unquote, or weather effects are actually that's a DLC. If you go check on the wiki, it's actually confirmed on the wiki too. So they're planning that for after release. Thanks for helping out, Jack. I appreciate you. How do you feel about the idea of a locked gamma to stop rat runners? That's a topic for another day, man. That's a huge rabbit hole to go down. I have a couple of videos talking about like economy and talk about hatchet running and stuff like that. If you want to go check those out, that might answer your question a little bit better. But that's a huge rabbit hole and it's just a topic for another day. We're going to be talking about as realistic as playable today. Or at least if it's a super quick question, or a super quick answer, I'll get to that quickly. But that's a rabbit hole of a discussion. What about changing shoulders for weapons? Like, it's planned. Nikita actually says it's planned. I'm not sure where it came from that it wasn't planned because I had someone actually call me names in a video when I said that it was planned. And it's just, literally Nikita said it's planned. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know who said it wasn't, but it is planned. So you are going to be able to swap shoulders. I know there was some question about like animations or something, but he said it's planned. So until we hear otherwise, planned. What do you think of having more or better special grenades? Absolutely on board with that, and they're planned. So the CS gas, the better smoke, those are all still planned. Incendiary, especially like Willie Pete and stuff like that. That is planning to come to the game, so it would be very useful, especially the smokes for getting people out of like camping spots and stuff like that. Hell, if you got a gas mask on, just chuck a bunch of CS gas at an exfil if you're worried about people exit camping you, especially like the D bunker or whatever. I'm blanking on the name of it. You guys know what I'm saying. D2 on reserve. You're worried about that? Just hotbox the shit out of the bunker before you go in there. I would love to have animations for checking backpacks, rigs, weapon boxes, etc. That's a lot of work. There's a lot of work that goes behind animations, and it's not necessary. I don't know if that's necessarily needed. Maybe that'll come in the future. We'll see. If you mean actually like physically taking the backpack off of someone, I think that's way as cool as it would be. That's definitely a good topic for as realistic as playable because it's just too much going on. There would be too much effort behind getting the animations for that, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong with it. I think we're good on that, but it would be cool if it was instantaneous to do and it costs nothing in terms of like back-end servers and stuff like that. I would say yes, but it doesn't. That's not how things work. So unfortunately, I don't think it quite fits into the game right now. Thoughts on reloading? We have gunpowder or different types. Nikita has said in the past that specific loads for like sniper rounds and stuff like that are going to be doable in the hideout. Other than that, we haven't heard much more. But where you load your own ammunition or where you make your own ammunition, that's planned for the hideout. I gotta take a sip of my water here, guys. Sorry. I already had my coffee. I woke up a little early today. If you can't tell by how fast I'm talking already. What do you think about wading through slightly deeper water, like on customs between Crack House and Big Red? Yeah, I hope that comes. I hope that's a thing. Swimming is a whole, that's pretty significant, but it would be pretty nice to have that be a possibility because you do get into some pretty deep water in Reserve, in the new main bunker on Reserve as well, and it's pretty audible, and it actually does slow you down pretty significantly, so they can do it. It's just based on like the map and whatnot, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. What actually would be an interesting place to see that is Factory, since they've done something. They're probably going to be doing something similar with Factory, where we already have a bit of an underground in Factory. Maybe we're going to see more of that with the expansion, so we'll see if they end up doing any kind of flooded area with the Factory expansion that is supposed to be planned in patch 12.11. What's your opinion on either custom or a selection of camouflages to be applied to weapons? That's planned. At least spray paints are planned. Spray paints are planned. I don't know about adding extra ghillie covers or anything like that, but the spray paints are absolutely planned. Graphics. I think Nikita said that he wants everyone in game to see the same thing. Does it mean post effects will be removed in the future? No, because it was specifically built by BSG to help people out that might need those post effects or make the game look better or whatever. But what he means is it's not the exact same thing. It's just generally the same thing. And when he was talking about with that, if you guys go to like some super old footage of there was filters that you could get that were just completely overpowered, where based on sharpness and stuff that players would just stick out significantly. Hell, I think I've seen some where like players for some reason or another were like bright white and everything else around it was like a darker color, and that's just completely overpowered. So what he means by that is like the third party stuff that would affect that, and having the settings not change so much so that it gives someone an advantage over another person. That's their general, feeling about it. And then as time goes on and as the game gets more and more polished, it'll get a little bit more cleaner. Do you think the armor hitbox changes will be a game? Absolutely. Yeah, I've said that like 100 times, man. It's gonna completely flip the game upside down. That's gonna be crazy when that ends up showing up. Tierish one. That is hitboxes for the armor is gonna be significant, if not the most significant change of the game. While we're on the subject with that, actually, it also goes hand in hand. In case anyone down the line here is asking about like the actual release of Escape from Tarkov, the armor hitbox system, Streets of Tarkov, and the lore quests are what they're waiting on to be able to properly estimate when they can launch the game, because they're the three most ambitious milestones. It's the biggest and most ambitious map. It's the biggest and most ambitious feature, and it's the biggest, and it's not really ambitious, but it's the lore. It's the actual backstory to the game. So after they have all three of those tasks done, then it'll give them a proper estimate of what the other tasks will require based off of like what's actually in them, whether it be the coding, whether it be the modeling, the environment art, all that stuff, because it actually hits the best of the best stuff that they're going to do for each milestone, or for each area of the game, really. For the traders, don't you think that they should be rebalanced in the early test server? I'm sure they do lots of stuff like that. The ETS servers are there for testing for like a smaller pool of stuff, so I'm sure they do something similar to that all the time. What do you think, without giving anything specific away, because I wouldn't know, how do you think in having side missions like raid, what do you think in having side missions like raid, the traders' shipments of stuff affecting your karma? It'd be interesting. I'm sure that would fit into the lore, especially if the traders are like kind of going at each other a little bit. Definitely would be interesting, and it would give us backstory to some of the tasks for sure, and it would make sense for higher or lower rep with the trader. So yeah, all sights except the optical, like hollows, reflex, should require AA batteries. I don't know about that, but thermals and NVGs are going to require batteries in the future. I think the hollow sights. I think the hollow sights requiring I think the hollow sights or anything that will require actual batteries, requiring batteries, is on the other side of the coin for as realistic as playable, because it's kind of a bit much. Thermals and NVGs makes sense because those are actually super useful, but for the sights, maybe not. I don't think we actually need those. Thick revolvers, yeah, revolvers are going to be cool. Since the secure container is as realistic as playable, what about only being able to place items inside of it? So the secure container in general, like I get what you're saying there. So if you want to debate the fact that you can have that secure container at all, that is totally as realistic as playable. But the actual function of you being able to place or not place items inside of a raid is such a rabbit hole. I'm just going to avoid that today, because that is an entire thing. We can talk about that for an entire hour some other day. Hopefully you understand what I mean. But if you want to talk about actually the feasibility of being able to safely hide stuff as realistic as playable, I think that makes sense, because we were all new players at one time. We all tried to use it to the best advantage to get the best stuff out of the raid as safely as possible. And not to mention, at this point, hundreds of thousands of people have bought the game, which expect that to work as intended when they bought the game. Whether you have the base version with the alpha all the way up to the gamma, there's already a lot changing with it, and they can iterate on it more. But if they completely change how you can save things in that secure container, that's going to really hurt a lot of people. That's probably not a good idea, because like I said, hundreds of thousands of people have bought the game expecting that to work that way. But that's just me. So let's leave the question of actually the function of saving gear with the secure containers out of. I understand that that's an as realistic as playable thing, but that's a whole rabbit hole. We can go into that specifically some other day. Is the ETS server even up yet? From what I would tell, I think that the ETS is up, but I wouldn't know anything about that. The ETS, it should be up, yeah. What do you think of only limiting the secure container to carry meds and ammo and stuff? Like I said, guys, I'm sure there's a little bit of a backup for that stuff. So that kind of stuff, as they are right now, if we are talking about these secure containers as they are right now, I think that it fits both the as realistic and the as playable part of that argument quite well, because you can't put guns in there, you can't put the super expensive stuff in there, but at least you can save some stuff that you can use in raid, and it's very useful. So yeah. Oh geez, I'm backing up significantly here, guys. Sorry, hold on. Wow, you guys are flying today. I'm really backed up. Oh geez. Okay. Just a heads up, guys. I am like scrolling like halfway up the chat right now. You guys are flying today. I'm trying my best to get to everyone, though. Just a heads up, I'm very likely not gonna get to everyone, but I'm going to try to get to everyone's questions. Favorite handgun? 5.7. 5.7. I like the 5.7 a lot, because you can pen a lot of those face shields, and it's just really accurate. And you do get the night sights stock, which are very accurate. I like those. 357, 38 special, 44 mag, 44 special, Raging Judge. Are you asking me if those are coming? Those should be coming. All of those practically. I know the 357. I know 44 mag, Raging Judge, stuff like that. I know those are planned, if that's what you're asking there. Kevin Stewart. You said that armor is in a good place, but being as realistic as playable. However, in real life, armor is much more effective at stopping the rounds in Tarkov. Is that not playable? That stuff is kind of placeholder, because like I've been saying, there's going to be that armor hitbox, the replaceable armor plates and stuff. So I'm sure that a lot of the actual physics and how effective specifically each armor type and what the composition of that armor is to that ammunition, it's probably going to change a lot with the armor hitbox system, because you're also getting replaceable armor plates, and those are going to have their own features. They're going to have their own physical qualities and compositions and stuff like that. So that is that's an amazing question. It does make complete sense for them to act more realistically. And it's also a great question for as realistic as playable, because there should be some armor types that are actual, there's actual weakness to them. And actually, more specifically, where you're talking about, those are much more effective at stopping rounds in real life. They are probably much more effective at stopping rounds in real life, but they also have some place that they end, which is in terms of like, for lack of a better word here, their hitbox in real life. They don't absolutely cover every inch of your body, which, armor hitboxes, it leaves that opening for those little pistol rounds, for that shrapnel, that shotgun shot or whatever, to actually get past somehow to the torso and stuff. So I think a great question there. I don't know how to say your name though. Fajito, I can't say your name though. Great question there. But definitely going to count on the armor hitboxes for that. What about new ways to breach rooms? Like, those are all planned. That's all planned. You're going to be able to break, breach, pry, blow open doors with like shotguns, explosives, kick them open, stuff like that. The hatchet that you get with EOD, there's a pry bar on that. You're supposed to be able to pry open doors. I mean, there's literally also a crowbar too that you're going to be able to do that too with. That is planned. That's coming. Will they ever change how combat works to make it understandable and learnable easily through enough that you don't struggle? Probably not. That's Escape from Tarkov for you, Bub. Welcome to Tarkov. There is going to be some tutorials, and if it's that difficult for you, there's the offline raids. They're going to eventually have the offline raids with friends, which is going to be good. But other than that, welcome to Tarkov. Do you think they're going to eventually make smoke grenades work properly indoors? I mean, I'm sure it's planned. There's a lot of physics and there's a lot of work that goes behind that. I've always said we should have shared loot with limitations, of course. Lots of reasons to have it, but RMT is a problem. Yeah, stuff like that. You go down a massive rabbit hole when it comes to RMT, because RMT is such a huge problem. Other than that, there's some more stuff coming with scavs, but I won't go into too much because that's a huge topic, and we're running short on time now, and I'm already backed up. But in terms of shared loot, there's some stuff coming with scavs that you might be interested in, but that's a topic for another day. Do you think some scav bosses should rotate maps? They kind of already do, don't they? They definitely already, like, they'll push you if you engage them. They'll push you and they'll move around a bit. But in terms of like moving around on the map and having like what's it called? A route that they move around on the map, that would be interesting. But otherwise, if you mean like seeing Killa on Factory, that doesn't make sense because it's actually lore based. So Killa, that safe room on Interchange, that's Killa's safe room. Like that, he lives there. Same thing with Rashala. Rashala's like a gang boss or something for the dorms on Customs. Gluhar he has something to do with the military, and same with his goons. So it makes sense for him to be on the military base. Sanitar was he was either the driver of an ambulance or he was an EMT of some kind, or a doctor of some kind. So it makes sense for him to be at a hospital, which like the resort is like a hospital, like it's like a detox. Why am I blanking on it? What's the word when you're on drugs? You try to get off the drugs. I'm blanking on it. It's like a recovery. It's like a detox thing. There's a word for it, and my brain is farting hard right now. Rehab. Thank you, Looney. I had to scroll down to the bottom there. Rehab center. It's like a rehab center, but there's doctors there too, so makes sense for him to be there. All right, now I got to scroll back up the chat. Thanks for the help. Wow, I'm so behind. You guys were flying through questions today. Jeez. Okay. I'm definitely not going to be able to get to everyone. I'm so behind with the questions. I'm sorry, guys, but I'll do the best I can. What purpose do you think incendiary grenades will serve? Area denial, environmental destruction. There will not be environmental destruction. Area denial will absolutely be a thing because, fire hot. You probably don't want to walk through that. And I'm sure there's going to be tasks and stuff. Like we just saw thermite and some TNT blocks come into play. So I'm sure they're going to have uses in different tasks. But also environmental destruction, unless you include doors that are locked, you're going to be able to get through certain doors that are locked and certain doors that are inaccessible. Even locked doors that require specific keys, you're going to be able to get into them. They're going to take some time. It's going to be very loud, and people are going to know, hey, that's a free marked room, even though the guy didn't have a key. But that will be a thing. It's just that blowing down a wall, like Levolution stuff, isn't planned because there's just so much physics and there's just so much work behind that. It's just not planned. But there will be like different sets of like penetration through objects, like Nikita recently mentioned, and this does make sense for as realistic as playable too, because bullets go through stuff, and so do RPGs. RPGs are planned. Stuff's gonna go through walls. Like when you specifically what you're hiding behind is gonna matter, and what of that object you're hiding behind. So if you hide behind the engine block of a car, you're gonna be safer than hiding behind just the doors, stuff like that. These it's planned questions makes me think you should do a level 1, 2, 3 video for features like the guns vid. Absolutely, but that stuff takes so much time, man. I'm pretty trust me, if I had the time or if I had the ability, if there were 5 of me, there would be a shit, we'll put it this way, if there were 5 of me, there would be a shit ton more content like that, like that on the channel. It just takes so much time. Radiant quests like in Fallout 4 would be fun for doing after Kappa. There's a hell of a lot more stuff coming for after Kappa, because keep in mind, guys, Kappa just allows you to play the game easier, so it wouldn't be that much of an end game thing if it just, so what, go play the game some more without actually having progression. So there will be more to come. Physical inventory and hideout. I think Nikita talked about having something with you have like a gun rack, so your favorite guns can be like put up above your bed and stuff like that. I think that's coming. Otherwise, there's lots of stuff coming to the hideout. But we haven't heard anything specific more about like physical inventory. Like, you mean like moving boxes around, like in Star Citizen? If you know Star Citizen, how like the physical inventory works with that, you literally pick up the box and you bring it with you. Or like Gary's mod, how you can pick stuff up and you bring it with you. I don't know about that. Haven't heard anything about that. Since the secure, all right, I think we've already talked about secure containers enough here, boys. Sorry if that's not your question, but I'm behind on other stuff. So I gotta get to other questions. The secure container is just, it's too much of a big topic. I understand it's as realistic as playable, but we're not gonna get into that today, especially not now where we have only a few minutes left. Is there any information on the end game? There's lots, but that's a whole another rabbit hole too. We can get into that on a topic for another day. Why are armor hitboxes going to be so significant? I'm just a bit dumb. Check out my video on that. Check out the biggest, I think the title is something along the lines of the biggest change coming to Escape from Tarkov. I go into huge detail with why that is so going to be so significant. Damn it, Jack, don't make me laugh with that DM. It's going to be so significant. Check out that video. Is known what Russia 2028 is going to be? Maybe something like a new DayZ. Everything I have on Russia 2028 was in my Russia 2028 video. So look up Russia 2028 on my main channel and you'll find the video for that. No problem. Wooded. When are any DLCs expected to be arrive? After launch, and we don't know when launch is going to be, so soon TM. The longest soon TM you can think of right there. So after launch. Why can't we get ammo back and the stuff out of our backpacks when we insure, and why haven't they changed the game to help the game be much more learnable? Because tutorials are coming, and that's just not Tarkov. They're not going to hold your hand. It's going to be rough. It's supposed to be different. That is one of the main things that is going to be different about it. And that is a good topic for as realistic as playable, because you're left on your own. You're kind of on your own. It's supposed to be a tough, like, no BS kind of like bring yourself up by your, bootstraps, whatever. Kind of, that was probably a bad one to use, a bad phrase to use for this one. But like, it's Tarkov. It's a welcome. That is a core belief of Tarkov, is just like, you're on your own. They're not going to hold your hand, but there are some tutorials coming. So it's not for everyone. I can agree it's not for everyone, but that's just one of the core things of Tarkov. With resistances to things like disease and radiation, do you think we'll see other types of meds to treat ailments like... Good one, Soren. Thoughts about the USP? Should be cool. Keys you find should be in a list on your character screen, untradeable, permanent. And it's, I don't know if that's quite realistic. You can take a note in real life. That's realistic for you, for the keys that you have. I noticed while playing squad that you can't reload while running. Do you think it would be good for EFT to have this? You can totally reload by running. I've done it myself. It's totally a thing. It doesn't mean it's the quickest way to do it. You might drop your mag and stuff like that, so maybe that can pop up, but reloading while running is not like some next level shit. You can do, anybody really can do that with a little bit of training. All right, lightning round with this. I'm going to try and go as fast as I can here, guys. How long do you think Bitcoin will go in Tarkov? How low do you think Bitcoin will go? It's probably not going to go much lower than it is right now, because the way the economy is working right now, it made such a huge effect. And if we think about a few months before the boom, it was actually about what it is right now. So I think that's what they really wanted to do, is they wanted to bring it back to a more stable, like $400 to $500 area, 400 to 500,000 ruble area. Nikita has confirmed resting positions in a podcast. I think that it will make Tarkov more milsim. What do you think about it? That's realistic. So yeah, that would be really cool. Bipods and all that stuff. Yeah, he's confirmed that multiple times. It's supposed to be coming with LMGs like the RPD and the SAW eventually here soon. TM. Why did they take the feature to put just about anything in the container? All right, we're not talking about medicine. You've asked a lot about the container, man. That you're going down the rabbit hole that I don't want to go down. So let's not do that, man. Especially where we're so late in the cast here today. It's we can talk about secure containers and stuff another time. That's such a huge topic and just such a different thing than we're doing today. Do you think ammunition with high powder load should break your gun quicker, depending on if the gun can handle said powder load? If they're gonna do something like that, it's the SCAR is gonna be an interesting thing to do with that, because they're gonna do the weapon malfunctions and heat and stuff like that. So we would start to see something like that with the SCAR, because the SCAR is I guess very notable at breaking optics and breaking stuff like that. So could be interesting. That would definitely be something that we want to see, or that would be something that we would see with weapon malfunctions and the overheating and stuff like that. So we'll see if that ends up popping up. Medicine, I really don't know where you're going here, man. I tried to answer your questions earlier, bud. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say more than that. What's your opinion on either custom or a selection of camouflages to be applied to weapons? Yep, spray paint's coming. I just don't know about extra physical stuff. Not a question. Just want to say your podcast like this one. And it's very interesting to listen to. All right, appreciate it. What's your opinion on having clans? Clans are planned. There's a huge thing going into clans, and I think I have a video on that specifically along with arena stuff. So if you look up EFT clans, like if you put in the search bar EFT clans on my channel, you should find that. I go into detail with that, and that's actually going to be really cool. So, do you think side missions like raiding trader shipments are going to happen? I think it makes sense. Whether it's actually like a physical, like timed thing in game, we'll see. But lore wise, that does make sense to get, like it would get you significant reputation with one trader while lowering it with another. Like it makes sense. So I think maybe it'll come to the game. I think saying that it makes sense is probably the best answer I can give there. So maybe. What about the option to 3D print AR-15 parts? Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see if that ends up popping up. Will we ever get a lot more places to snipe from high points? Places that, dude, streets. Streets is going to be dope for that. Streets is going to be nuts. Climb using the ice pick. That costs a lot of like animation work and stuff like that. So in terms of like, if it's a high building or something that you can go up like a staircase, picture your roof of the resort, picture your, what would be a good one here? Yeah. Picture your roof of the resort, picture interchange, but the ladder or the stairs on the side actually work and getting up there. I think there's going to be a lot of places like that on streets for sure. Okay, that is actually at least that's all the questions that I got where people added me, and we are running out of time here, so I did want to make sure, since he paid $5 earlier. Oh shoot, can I even see that? Oh no, I can't even see it anymore. Why can't I see it? That sucks. All right, whoever paid the $5 earlier, unfortunately, I can't see that anymore, so I don't know. Can I do top chat? Fuck. All right, I'll figure out a way to get to that at some point. But sorry, I don't know how to. I know you were talking about karma. I talked about karma a lot yesterday, and I did a karma video recently. So if you do have me on Discord, DM me, and I'll talk to you personally since you paid the $5. Like, I feel bad about that. I literally can't see your message anymore because of how this works. Anyway, what's your opinion on after raid replays to see what actually killed you? The whole point there is, and this is actually an okay thing for As Realistic as Playable, because you definitely aren't going to have a kill cam, are you? And that's never going to happen. That's never going to be a thing where you die and then you instantly know a bunch of information about who killed you and where they are and stuff like that. But the after raid kill cam is definitely planned. They want it to be sort of like a theater mode where after the raid is completely finished, this isn't you just dying if there's 40 minutes left in the raid. You have to wait 40 minutes and then it'll be available. And the whole lore behind that is supposed to be that Peacekeeper has drones up, so you're using his drones to see what happened during that raid and stuff like that. So, yeah. Should be cool. You can do some machinimas with that. You'll be able to learn a lot about the map, and there's been a bunch of people asking about making it easier to learn the game. That'll teach you a lot. That will definitely teach you a lot. I am caught up now, guys, so just hit me with a couple more questions, and then we'll be getting out of here in a few minutes because I wanted to keep these to about an hour. So I'll hit these last few questions here. What do you think about having like tape around mags? No, I completely understand. Yeah, I think that's planned. I know that they want to do. They're going to be doing multiple mags soon, so you're going to have like these clamps that you can put the mags together, and the old school taping AK mags. There's definitely going to be something for that. They got to do that at some point. They're definitely going to be adding more civilian style guns. Fabian, just remember next time it's going to be at nice guy space Tarkov to have it pop up as orange so that I can see it much easier. And that's for everyone else in chat. If you just do at nice guy, I won't see it compared to the other chat. You have to do at nice guy space Tarkov. But I just happened to see that one because I saw it was above another one, which I'm going to answer right now. I was talking about high and low resting positions, like in ground branch. Yeah, that's actually planned. So it's not necessarily resting, but they would be ready. You mean high and low ready? That's planned, and that's going to be really cool for Karma because you're going to know when someone's actually a real threat, and you're just like, all right, make sure you're in low ready or else I'm gonna shoot you. Stuff like that. No problem, Raleigh. Who's your favorite friend and why is it me? No comment. Quick draw mags? Yeah, something like that. The vest and rigs will help with that. Yeah, no comment on that one. Do you actually think the game is realistic as playable? My granddad was in the army for 20 years. He says it's not realistic at all. That's literally what we're talking about. So it's as realistic as playable. Medicine, I don't know if English isn't your first language, maybe there's something that doesn't translate correctly there. Because I do get a lot of people who combat that. And I understand it's not the most realistic thing. The whole point is as realistic as playable, understanding that this is a video game. It should be fun, and it should be playable. You should be able to enjoy it, but still have it be as realistic as possible. So as realistic as playable, there's going to be some trade-offs there. What do you think about clothing having warmth and durability, breathability ratings for the weather DLC? That's probably coming, since there is going to be legitimate weather. And we have heavy jackets and stuff like that. I reckon shotguns should get blunt damage buff with helmets and visors. What do you think? Yeah, we'll see with the armor hitboxes. That does make sense. Since the player base is dropping so fast, it's just because of a wipe, man. Are we getting wiped soon? Yes. It's this point of the wipe cycle, and also it really isn't actually dropping that fast. There's a lot of people that just because it's difficult to find players at this point of the wipe, all the chads are probably bored and they're taking breaks. So most of the people you're going to be seeing are playing a lot of scavs, and they're probably ratting around a bit. So that's why it's a little bit quieter. But trust me, this has been happening for literally years. Once there's a wipe, pretty much everyone comes back, especially if there's some good new content like what we're going to see with 12.11. It'll be fine. Landmark said wipe was likely within the week. What do you think? If he said the wipe is Thursday, then that's just the meme. Everyone's going to say wipe is Thursday. It makes sense to be a Thursday, but it's just, yeah. It should be soon. It should be with patch 12.11. If you hear anything about patch 12.11, but no one actually, like, if we hear something specifically from BSG or Nikita about patch 12.11, but they don't say anything about a wipe, still believe it's probably a wipe because it just makes sense to be a wipe. And you will absolutely hear anything from me if that ends up being the case. Karma needs to come now and make the stupid kill on site go away. Yeah, Karma is coming with 12.11, at least the first iteration. So we'll see what happens with the scavs, and then PMCs are going to be after that. With your no experience on guns, what do you think about the stamina bar on aiming and the way the character shakes when you're out of stamina? That's actually a good question for as realistic as playable, because your skills go into that. There's a lot of gameplay features that go into that, and it makes sense that the more you play the game and the more you play on that character, he gets more efficient at holding his gun up. He gets stronger, stuff like that. ETA on Unity 19. Unity 19 is supposed to be coming with a 12.10.x patch, which we haven't heard anything about. So I think at this point, I think what they did is they moved that into 12.11. I think what we're going to see is once they do actually talk next in terms of development, I think what we're going to hear, at least I really hope as well, is what we're going to hear is stuff about 12.11, about the factory expansion, about the Scav boss coming with the factory expansion, the new guns, and Scav Karma, but we're also going to hear about Unity 19 coming with 12.11. I think that's what we're going to hear. Is the KS shotgun worth talking about? Is it too OP in your opinion? Nah, it's neither here or there. It's definitely very powerful. And it could be used. It could use some balancing maybe here and there. Could be using a little bit of balance here or there maybe. I don't know. I use that phrase too much now. But it could be looked at. It's just meh. It's definitely a massive shotgun, so it should do a lot of damage. So now when the armor hitboxes come in, let's see what happens with that, because I know it's a big leg meta thing right now. Are we going to be seeing any new semi-auto shotguns soon, CM? For sure. Spaz should be coming. Actually, we've got the Kalashnikov. We got the Kalashnikov shotgun, the smart shotgun with the little camera system that's supposed to be, I guess it's going to be like a little thermal or something coming soon, CM. Excuse me, and that's going to be semi. Do you think we'll get addiction added to the game? That's planned, yes. Addiction to meds are planned. Do you reckon they should add more? And that's a whole nother topic down the line there. That goes along with like the karma system, like the bad karma, like how much bad deeds will actually make you get bad karma. Same thing will go with that. Like how many pain pills do you need to take before you start getting a little bit addicted to them? That's going to be a whole process and a whole nother topic for another day, but addiction is planned actually. Do you reckon they should add more World War II weapons for that early wipe? Everything revolving around weapons. Check out my most recent future Guns of Tarkov video. Could we rotate our body from laying on our stomach to laying on our back with being prone? I think they have ideas for that with the advanced animations. All right, this is going to be my last question here today, guys, and it's medicine again. Hopefully it's a good one, dude. You've been talking a lot today. What do you think about level 1s versus level 40s? How will that be balanced? It doesn't need to be balanced. You're a level 1 versus a level 40. So it's if you play the game significantly more than someone else, you're going to have significantly more advantages over someone else. That's just how the game is running. So if you are a level 1 and you think you're going to be running into level 40s, then make sure you aim for the legs and make sure you're bringing something that is either going to hit them in the face if you notice that they don't have a visor, or hit them in the legs if you've got something that can do a lot of flesh damage. That's just Tarkov. That's just welcome to Tarkov. If you think it's unfair, make sure you're checking out when the beginning of a wipe, when the next wipe pops up, and that's why everyone constantly asks about the wipe, because everyone is equal. So if you don't want that to happen to you, make sure you're playing at the beginning of a wipe if you can. It's not supposed to be fair. It is not supposed to be fair. If anything, Escape from Tarkov is the game. Message, you gotta stop spamming. But you could have put that all in one message, man. Anyway, so with that, we're gonna end it for today. Yeah, wipe is life for sure. It's definitely not supposed to be fair. You got that wrong there, Bob. This is Tarkov, dude. Anyway, that was a fucking big one. That was a good one for today. I think I was talking completely through the entire thing. This was a good one here today, guys. My voice is gonna be practically gone with this one. I don't know how I'm gonna record the audio for this 12.11 video. I'm gonna have to get some more coffee or tea or something. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today. If you have any other outstanding questions or anything, this is gonna go up as a VOD, so you can chuck those in there once this goes live. And then after that is live, I'm gonna also have my everything 12.11 video going up soon after. Thank you guys very much for hanging out today, and I will be back again tomorrow. It's going to be 9 a.m. Eastern United States time is when I run these. They go for about an hour, and we do exactly what we did today. We pick a topic, we talk about it, and that's pretty much it. So if you guys are looking for the latest Escape from Tarkov news, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for hanging out. Also, leave a like if you haven't already, and you can check out for the latest news as we have it right now with my news and development for Escape from Tarkov. I also have a bunch of tutorials with the Tarkov EFT Like a Pro playlist. And if you'd like more games than just Tarkov, check out my second channel, which will be up in the right corner of my main channel's page if you're interested in that. We got Ashes of Creation coming up. We got some cool RTS games coming up, and I'm playing a lot of War Thunder over there too. I'm on a bit of a War Thunder vibe, at least until we get some more Tarkov stuff to do. And, I think I fixed my resolution issue with Twitch, so maybe we check out Twitch later if I still have a voice later. So again, thank you guys very much for hanging out, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a nice day. See you guys.